All right, hello again. Happy Friday. Yeah, it's Memorial Day weekend. Anyways, sorry. I was just thinking as I was uploading the first video, yeah, never mind trying to make them shorter. I'm giving you multiples now. But anyways, no, the Hijras thing. I need to clarify that with India because I was a perfect example of how someone that wasn't from there, someone that wasn't from that particular environment or that part of the world, never mind country, because we need to get away from that, but like just that area. Because even in India, there is an area, it's like a beach area where a lot of the names are kind of more of a Latin name because it was like an old colony from Portugal or something I want to say. So it was like Portuguese type names. Anyways, so it's not necessarily true that, oh, Asia, they're Asians or anything. Like there's generalizations and there's stereotypes, there's racial things, like there's all these things. There's a wide range of things. But here's a perfect example of how easy it can be, even for myself, trying not saying I'm some kind of saint by any means, but I try extra care I try extra hard to be careful about how I speak and act around people because I realize how if I offend someone, how bad that feels, first of all, and second of all, how dangerous that is to everybody's well-being. Like even if it's just like a little bit emotional, that's gonna leave a mark. That's gonna do something, and it's gonna be remembered. So, anyways, and this situation. Let's get to the situation. So I was in India for work, and I was in a taxi, and my taxi driver was about to tell us something about because he was telling us all about he was being a good taxi driver, doing his job. So, not that he was a taxi driver, he could do other things. But anyways, sorry. Um, Hydras. So those are, and that's where I derailed it last time. So the way it was explained to me in an anthropology class, sorry, I had to take a drink there. The way that it was explained to me in an anthropology class, and anthropology is where you study other people's cultures. Um, it's kind of like sociology, but and actually, I don't even remember what the distinction is. It was almost like a historical, but at the same time, we were talking about present day India. And in that class, I learned that hijras was a term, or a hijra was a person that took on a more feminine gender role. And it was more like, it didn't matter like what they had physically, like they just acted like a woman and more feminine, more nurturing, for whatever reason. It was like how he left it open ended. I mean, ideally, I think it was for adult sex work, but um, the bottom line is I learned a term about that, and I learned about the culture or you know whether you agree with it or disagree with it, that happens there. So that's good to know. And anytime you travel abroad, you want to make sure that you understand the local area. And especially, sorry, let me back up a little bit because I also traveled to Costa Rica for a school trip. Anytime you travel to another country, you need to at least try to learn some of the culture, some of their language, some stuff. I mean, because then at least you can like throw your hands up and be like, I don't know, yo hablo, pero no bueno. Like that was like one of the first things we got comfortable saying because it was awkward trying to speak Spanish with somebody, knowing full well that they speak it every day and it's super easy, and being humbled by learning a second language and then trying to like do it. That was the big thing. So, and I guess that's part of why like again, I'm no saint and I'm not trying to claim anything, but I do take the time to respect people because I know how awkward it is being in another country and trying to act like. Now, if you're in another country, you can, and I think that's why a lot of Americans do, is like you could just act like you don't care and just kind of hope that that flies. Like fake it till you make it, and then like, uh-oh, I forgot to study for the English test, so I'm gonna just, yo hablo, but pero no bueno, and like. And yeah, we even try to get like and I'm horrible at it now. And so even like trying to do it would probably be like, maybe one day if this video gets a million likes. Ha, just kidding. I'm really not about that fame, but if the message can spread, and that's the cool thing too, is like the whole standing on shoulders to see farther idea from that statue on campus at CSU. Um, it's just like it doesn't matter. It's like it matters what they can do, and then they're gonna take the baton and run it to what they can do. See, Wu Tang used to say that, like, you're gonna pass the baton on to the young ones and all that. Like, that's why I love the old hip hop, the '90s hip hop, the Wu Tang. I mean, let's be honest. Snoop Dogg, I loved his CD, and actually, it had some really great stuff too. Actually, I take that back. It had some really hippie hoppity vibes, and some deep stories. But it also had a lot of the flash. And so did Wu-Tang, actually, now that I think about it. So never mind. Because you got to sell records. And actually, I wonder what was said in the general meetings for record executives. Like, because eventually we joked about it so much that people started to catch on and be like, oh, wait, the music industry could be evil. Uh-oh. Like, you know, it probably still, I mean, hopefully not still is, actually, now that I say that, because, or hopefully at least it's more understood. All parties are understanding of it. And that's why we need to simplify legal stuff too, is because how do you expect somebody to act in a certain way if they can't even pronounce half of the stuff that you're trying to expect them to do? Like, they didn't go to law school, you went to law school. And that's why I'm also especially patient with people with tech, is because I went to school for it. Like, I spent many long nights learning about computer science, programming, algorithms, like how computers work. And I still don't even feel confident knowing what computers are. I always want to look up the model, like look up a little information about it, because just like traveling to another country, in tech, you got to do a little investigation before you feel comfortable trying to act like you know anything about what you're trying to do. And I guess that's a good way to put it, is like either you can travel to another country or you can study computer science, or both. I mean, that's what I really like. Like this recent business trip, I was actually working with someone from see, and I'd have to look it up. I know their name, but I'm not going to say it. But I know like, anyways, this student from not America was doing some coding, very impressive coding, I might say. Like, did it even better than I did, and like, and that's not surprising. Like, I mean, but I noticed these things because I remember like how long it took me, and then I use it as like a frame of reference. Doesn't matter. I mean, I flat out told him, I was like, you did it better. And whether or not I was just quote unquote trying to be nice, like, in some societies, like, oh, they're just totally lying, but they'll lie with a smile or whatever it is, the case may be. I just let him know, be like, it took me longer to do this. And I don't think I went into specifics, but given some time, I think I could have actually looked at the code and seen like, because I know where it was. It was the optimal path between rise and run, and I was just doing straight rise, then straight run, instead of doing like a diagonal thing, I think was what it was. But anyways, it's on Coding Game, and that's why I love that site. Free site, because again, their value is in their notoriety, and they get sponsors, and I think, and like, however they get their funding, their business model, and they've told us, they say it on the website, is like, they or businesses use them and pay them for like certification stuff. And I don't know, however it happens, it happens. But there's an open source aspect of it that when, you're searching for a tech job, that's why I advise, my advice is do Coding Game and Code Wars. Is Yeah, it doesn't matter. The end result is that you have a tool to learn computer science for free. So, and granted, yeah, then the kickback is real. Like, you know, shoot. Actually, come to think of it, oh no. Well, one thing did like, oh, where did you? So he fell. Oh, yeah, it is too. Okay, sorry. All of that is to say, every time, yeah, and I know I took it off. Every time the wandering trader comes into my melon patch, they trample stuff. Although I just threw those, so they actually did pretty good that time. And he fell. He survived, so he's okay. He's gonna despawn. And then these llamas are gonna go over to the llama lounge, which is it's under construction. Just because I'd rather not kill them if I don't have to, but at the same time, they do make noise randomly until they despawn. And then even over here, I feel like this isn't like the most humane thing, so yeah. But again, it's a video game, and I'm not trying to be intentionally cruel. Like just accidentally. Oh, like that Batman movie. Like, I didn't mean to intentionally waste your time. Oh no, just accidentally. Oh, fair enough, Mr. Yeah, see, I got that photographic memory about things that really shouldn't matter. I probably don't until you actually start relating them to everyday life. All right, let's. Uh-oh. Oh, nice. All right, sorry. Analysis paralysis, but also just like, anyways, something I had to do right then and there. And that kind of goes back to what I said at the beginning of the last video is take care of something that way you don't forget. Like even in the middle of doing something, if I see something, then you know, it's like, I don't know. That's why I'm pretty scatterbrained, but I can remember movie quotes, like ridiculous, and not even the perfect ones. I'd have to Google it to like know for sure, but I just know it exists and the nature of it. Oh, oh, he did wander in. Oh, see, now he's gonna. Yep, he jumps up and then he hops down just because he's trying to wander. So, sorry, man. Oh, actually, what do you? No. Although, yeah, because it gets the XP too. Oh, actually, that's expensive. Let's show you. Yeah, no. So the buckets of fish are good because you can't. Actually, even as I say that, buckets of tropical fish. So I guess a better way to do that, just like when I found a better way to trade pumpkins and melons, a better way to do that would to get all the, or I guess a more humane way, I don't know, or another alternative way you can do that. However you want to think about it as I'm killing somebody and taking their stuff, basically Grand Theft Autoing it, but not quite. Yeah, you could go to a place where there's tropical fish and use a normal bucket and trap them, but then you're out like stealing fish from the wild. These are already pre. Oh, so then you start thinking in the ethics of that, like puppy mills, and then so I don't even go that far deep into the ethics of the game. It's just oh, I can't. I mean, because then yeah, no, nothing would be fun. Sorry, that sounds messed up, but you also got to remember our ancestors were the ones that made a coliseum, so you know that like just having an understanding. Oh, and see, there you go, having an understanding of history, which I didn't really nail down until college. So, because I took a lot of art history classes, and so with that come the stories of the pieces of art. And so again, if you don't go to college, and this is community college and four-year college, together taking about the Van Wilder approach, the better part of a decade. So, yeah, I actually graduated from CSU as an adult learner. I was like a returning student, so that was interesting. But doable, and that's the important thing to know is like, no matter what's happened to you, even if you don't have your GED and you're like 30, 40, it doesn't matter. Like, you can get your GED. And in fact, I want to say it's even like free if you use a program. So you should look into in fact, that's something I kind of want to Google search now. I'm not going, I know I did that other thing, but you should do it. So if this applies to you, so we don't keep, hold up people twice. And once I start editing the videos, I'll just chop that out. Like, because I just downloaded the new, quote unquote new. It was the same. I could have used this thing with Twitch, but anyways, yeah, I'm going to start editing videos. Sorry, actually, not to be secure through obscurity. It's the OBS Studio. Sorry, the open source software. So I'm going to do that, and hopefully there aren't vulnerabilities. But again, these are things that risks that I assume, and I trust YouTube to filter out a lot of it. And at the same time, like even if something does happen, I know that like banks are more forgiving in this day and age. So it really do the best you can, but just know that you're not going to be. It's not like in the Dust Bowl days where your financial hardship will completely ruin you and the family, and you have to sell the farm and things that are still very real to some people today. Because I do have some farmer family people, but family members. But at the same time, it's not as harsh for most people. And so there you go. You need to make sure that there are considerations in government and politics for all people, the farmers, and that is a struggle. I know because yeah, or at least it was. I mean, see, I don't even know. I'd have to like take a pulse, get kind of like a status check would be the more techie way to say it. But yeah, just to get an idea of what the situation is, because I can't take anyone's opinions on because that's why I keep going back and like the one thing we will dip into politics real quick is like advertising. It is the worst false advertising ever. You are trying to scare people. You are trying to convince people. Like you're just basically begging for votes, and it's like, and oh, wow, my girlfriend back in the day used to call it like spinsters or spin masters. And this was like, so this was when we were still in high school. And like, she was keen to it. She was just like, oh, these spinsters, they'll say one thing and basically snake oil salesmen or salespeople. See, um, but yeah, people telling lies to get you to buy something. Marketing. And there's even like guerrilla marketing where you can put a little sticky note. This is something. Sorry, I mean, I don't want to divulge too much, like, but at the same time, share some of my college knowledge. There you go. In marketing, we learned that you could do guerrilla marketing where you stick a little post-it note kind of far away off of a trail, but not too far, and make it like neon colors. And that way, somebody be like, "Oh, I want to go see what that is." And it's like, "Ah, I made you look. By the way, here, buy this stuff," or like, "Here's some merchandise." And there's many creative ways to market merch and all that, especially if you're following YouTube stuff, which you're watching this, good chance you are. So, no, I don't have merch. And even if I did, it would all be like charity. So, but I don't have to again. So that's the cool thing is like, cause you got Mr. Beast out there doing it. So like, he's also doing it a lot better, like with video, like actually people editing his stuff. And, yeah, that there's like a lot of work that goes into that. So, but yeah, so if you want to get down with all that, you can also donate to him. He does all that stuff too. So anyways, no, and I was pausing earlier about the Sublime thing because I still haven't paid for Sublime 3, but I also haven't used it a long time. But now I do feel guilty that I did use it for the while that I did. So I'm probably going to end up donating, like buying a thing for it at some point. But see, I can't even say that because one, I don't want like, oh, you said you would buy it, you didn't. Like, okay, well, we'll have to see if it works out because life's hard out there. Everything's expensive. I got kids. Like, everybody's trying. So, but at the same time, I got to be patient, and that's fine. Like, I'm fine being patient. So, because I do have a good career in tech. Don't get me wrong. Like, and that's the thing. Like, when you don't have a good job or good career going, and especially if you can't afford higher education or even like, because I took a risk. I gambled by taking a lot of community college classes. I took a ton. I mean, in high school. Well, granted, we had to for senior English. We didn't have a senior English program, and I'm pretty sure that was by design. Like, as far as like, we were pretty hickish, but at the same time, we had a few good programs. Well, I went to Costa Rica too. Like, let's not sell short there. Like, we had stuff. We didn't have a French program, but honestly, I'm glad we just stuck with Spanish because, and that's the more relevant to hear. I mean, French is a great language if you have time for that kind of education. But at the same time, like, what's more useful? Like, I'm going to encounter a lot more people speaking Spanish in this country. And I'm happy that I tried to actually learn that. 4 years of trying to learn that too, mind you. So at the time, I mean, it just seemed like a fun and easy elective. So, but I'm glad I did it in hindsight. So if I'm ever trying to sell anything, it's that you should try to learn another language. You should try to learn other cultures. You should try to travel, which is super expensive too. So understandable if it takes a while. And we worked and we saved up for that. And I was out of the country 3 times, Bahamas, Jamaica, and Costa Rica. But I paid for them, or like, and I had some help from the parents on one, and then like, oh, definitely for the Bahamas one. That was like a timeshare thing. Like, if my friend's parents sat through a timeshare meeting, and they got cruise tickets on this really rusty but awesome boat or ship. Sorry, they're you got to call them ships when they're sailing like that. And anyways, although this one's anyways doesn't matter, not important. Try not to offend people. Be kind. Uh, but it was cheap travel was my point there. And so the availability to everybody, even if you think it's not, it's there. And actually, even as I say that, you should look into foreign exchange programs because I think there's even like an adult learner or like a lifelong learner type for homestay type educational programs. I don't know. Something for you to look into. But either at the very least, sorry, a long time ago, I don't even know if it was last video or this video, we were talking about GED. So if you want to get your GED, go for it. Worst case, it's a fee, a fine. I do have the math video available, and I'll do the science one. I'll set up the camera and everything. But not saying that, like, and not to take away from the fact that some people do feel more comfortable with learning. That's just why I haven't done it, is because I'm lazy and sometimes I'm more feeling introverted than extroverted. So. It's awkward for me a little bit. But anyways, sorry, try not to make excuses. But really, it's awkward for everybody. And I took public speaking. Sorry, as I struggle, I took public speaking as a college class through Colorado Mountain College in high school. That was one of like 30 credits that I took to college with me. And I exaggerate that? Nah. I did Western Civ, speech, statistics, art appreciation. Oh, that one, I don't know if that actually got that grade. But yeah, and that was the other thing too. You know, I failed out of a couple. Like stats, I got like a B, I think. Speech, I got an A. That was easy because I just got really cheesy with it. And not to downplay that, it's just like I knew how to manipulate that system right off the bat because I had watched enough TV. You know, I already knew how to be cheesy, but and just the right amount of cheesy to where. So I actually, let's back up a little bit. I talked about how I used to read the announcements for the morning. So I already had practice being, and just because I don't even know what made me do it, I think someone made me do it. Like, I don't even know. Maybe I lost a bet or something, but whatever the reasoning was, I was reading like what the lunch was every day for elementary school. And I accidentally said, "Oh, and look, a cookie," just because that was genuinely like how I said things. And I was like, "Oh, a cookie." And then after that, everybody was like, "Oh, haha, that was so funny!" Like, and I was just like, I was propped up on that pedestal. I got a 15 minute of fame taste of that of what the experience was, and so then I started doing it even cheesier. Like, and I found out pretty quick that it was diminished returns on how cheesy you went. There was a direct correlation. It was like, so if you went too cheesy with it, oh well, that was kind of cringe. And we talk about that with YouTube now, and it's cringe making long old videos, but again, not in it for the fame, but I'm going to do the shorts anyway because it spreads the message and then it gets people like, oh, wait, even if I don't need a GED, maybe my buddy does. Like, ooh, or I know this gal that like, and see, and when I say buddy, I've got, lady friends and guy friends. Like, anyways, vernacular and why it's like, it's annoying, but at the same time, it's best to acknowledge. But then I get derailed, and also, sorry, these prices are ridiculous. Like I need to take the time and see. This game is awesome because it teaches you about patience. Because in order to get the prices down, it's fine. Like they'll keep working, except for the blue coded one that doesn't. See that one? He's just not actually gonna work. But I don't know. I mean, he could be. You don't know. But anyways, these ones actually legitimately have like trades you can do, and then the trades go down over time. And especially if you sleep, I feel like there's a direct value for. See, yeah, like 13, you'll find out quick that all of that time that I spent breaking this axe and and just time in general, like my time was better spent with this better deal. Go to Walmart over Target. So yes, and I do. Although I go to both. I mean, let's be honest. Like they both got nice things. Anyways, and see, that's the other thing too. Like all of these things that we take for granted, well, I mean, they might start existing now, but the more we get better with communication technology, see, there you go again. It's like everywhere. The more we find out which areas have stuff and which areas don't. And then I'm fortunate enough to actually be traveling a lot for my work, so I get to see firsthand now, and so I'll let you know. Like I mean, again, I got to be protected because some of the things I talk about aren't exactly comfortable in society, and that's fine. Like, and I give that disclaimer often. It's like, this is not for kids. I mark it as not for kids. Although I also say, try to act as if kids can and will stumble on it. So, let's actually go back to that a bit. We talked about that in the first video. Adult words, or actually, we didn't. That was the other thing that I do for a scalable solution to using swear words or like saying anything messed up, like racist or whatever, because different situations and environments, and people say, oh, and even different generations, which is true because of different situations and environments, like time being a thing, current technology, all that, like the chances of being exposed to certain things. I don't know. You could also say they're more sheltered, but that almost makes it like kind of sad that tech's gotten so prevalent when tech has done anything but make like, I mean, there have been some downsides, sorry, I should say, but the more, okay, yeah, all right, whatever, we will spend through them. So there's the other thing, is like, I'll do it, but at the same time, now I've spent enough time to where it's actually more feasible to just do the trade, and then be done with it. That's true in life too. Like there was one of my econ classes, and see, I feel better talking about the community college ones than the regular ones, and I don't even know why. Like it's all like community college still needs your business and stuff, but at the same time, there's that thing. Yeah, we are gonna just nuts to them. We could just go harvest more. But anyways, one of my econ professors, yeah, my econ professor, the only one, he said that he knew a guy that made so much money per hour that he would actually throw away change. And this was ridiculous. Like, mind you, this was back in like, I don't know, early 2000s, like not even before 2010. So change was still pretty valuable. And not everything was as digitized as it is now. So yeah, so like money was money, and banks would take all your money, and Coinstar wasn't really quite a thing, or if it wasn't really like common enough to actually, yeah, let's go build on that pyramid. I've been slowly building this thing up, but anyways, my point being is it was more of a an eye opener to hear this story of this guy who made so much money he would throw away change because in the time it took him to count it and sort it, he was actually losing money. And that's also just kind of stressful. You think about that, like, oh, so he was never not working? Like, what kind of life is that? I mean, Adam Sandler does a whole movie how horrible that is. Like, you lose your time with your kids. Like, that's why parental leave is so important. Also, one of my experiences, I got 3 days of parental leave when my daughter was born. Three. Oh yeah, I'm still pretty sore about that. And they wonder why, like, oh, and especially now, like I see people, and it's great. Don't get me wrong. I'm not gonna hate on people for getting it now. That's just a wrong thing to do. I'm happy for them that they're getting it now. And same with like student loan debt. Like I'm happy to pay my debt. Well, not happy, but I'll do it. But I want everybody else from now on, from this point forward, to not have to pay such ridiculous prices for higher education. Like that's just a thing. I mean, that's why I think all higher education should be nonprofit. We should dismantle all. Sorry, not like sound like no like revolution, no violence, never any of that. What I'm saying, like we should dismantle the. I'll say this. We should adjust. There we go. We should adjust the systems to where we can provide quality education, and then at the same time afford to give away quality education too, like people's time, you know, and I don't know. There's got to be a happy medium. And I feel like there is. It's YouTube. Like, not only is like YouTube, it's great for finding the person that is the best, like, most entertaining for, however set period of time. Yeah, it's good for that too. But it also, like, narrows down, like, all creativity, really, down to a finite point that it gets ranked on a world scale, on a world stage. So, yeah, there's YouTube in a nutshell for you. And if you want to learn how to do YouTube, watch some of my older videos and then keep watching these because I'm going to keep trying to improve myself. That's true. But, or take the ideas, improve on them. A lot of people remix stuff. Oh, that'd be interesting. People remixing my musings. Ooh, yeah. You should, I mean, well, I mean, that'd be kind of weird though. See, I haven't even thought of that. And that's what's kind of nice. Like, people don't understand that. And I didn't understand this either when I first started streaming Twitch. I thought I'd get to like, like 1,000 followers within like a month or two. Wrong. It took me like, well, quite a few months, but months seem longer when you're like paying close attention to statistics and analytics. And so, yeah, I could safely say I only had like 1 to 3 viewers, if that. There was some where it was like 0 viewers at all. So, anyways, yeah, it's a very harsh reality for the first few, and I say that because, and you should keep this in mind if you watch other streamers or like actual streamers, because I'm not really technically a streamer anymore. I mean, I might, but yeah, it's that anxiety thing, and not that I have anxiety, it's that it makes me feel anxious. There you go, a more scalable way of thinking that. So I was talking about OCD, the other one, and I had friends that were offended by me saying that. So I stopped saying it because I wasn't all the time. I just was particular about some things, and that was a better way more polite way. Because, I mean, there are some where it's like, yeah, sorry. I just remember, and we were taught this too. I feel like in elementary school, that if someone suffered from OCD or however you really should phrase it, sorry, but like, we knew that there was a difference, and it was because they'd wash their hands compulsively to the point where potentially, or it was debilitating. It was a hindrance to their day-to-day life. There you go. So kind of like, I mean, I have my moments where it takes me a while to remember things, and I'll stall out or I'll stutter, but I can kind of figure it out. And then what happens with computers, how we program that is you have a timeout. So if you notice that it's been so long running a process, it just automatically stops the process and tries it again. Like, and it's an important thing to know in tech. So yeah, back to teaching teaching computer science. Um, yeah, the way to think in a computer science mindset is if you get stuck up on something, stop it, try it again, or try something else. And that's why shower thoughts are a thing. That's why rubber ducks are a thing. When you talk to your rubber duck, not in the shower, which is kind of funny, they kind of lined up there, but unintentional, by the way, there. But anyways, no, when you talk to a rubber duck that's either you're suffering from some mental illness, like the old jokes used to be like, or you're actually talking through a program in computer science and trying to understand why the code is working in a certain way or why it's not working in a certain way and what can be done to fix it. And then as you're talking about it out loud, and see, that's why I love these musings, because I'm just talking out loud and trying to figure out the better way or the best ways that I know how to phrase these things to make it less friction for other people. Again, throwback to Ali K. Miller. Um, Less friction makes everything easier and more pleasant, like every interaction, and that adds up. Like you're helping your community, those around you, by trying to interact with people in the best way, and then and best genuine way too. And that's the caveat there, is because it's like everybody would be like doing the best way if it was easy, and sometimes it's you might not have control over it, or like the first impression, and then like who had an impression first, and then like it's like, oh, okay, like who, it's like when you get to a stoplight at the same time or a stop sign, and then you don't really know, and it's that awkward, like, you go, and then I don't know. And I've seen it all ways, like where sometimes people will try to go faster and they might think, oh, well, that's rude, they're just in a hurry, but then it might have actually been, oh wait, they were just trying to get there just a little bit faster so they could avoid the awkward, uncertainty of, well, who goes first? Because technically the law is whoever's to the right goes first. Oh yeah, let's do some traffic tips, and not just tips, I mean the law. Sorry, this bugs me every day when I drive home, because there are a couple of spots where you turn and you're supposed to turn in the farthest left lane is you're supposed to stay in that lane. You're not supposed to change lanes in an intersection. And that's why, because anybody can say, oh yeah, you're not supposed to change lanes in an intersection. That's illegal. Like that's on the test. You can look that up. I mean, at least I hope it's still on the test, but I'm pretty sure it was. Anyways, I just remember having it drilled into my head, and like, because when you had to take the written test to drive a car, just like you should have for a gun. But anyways, and there's your gun for the day. Like, I believe that everybody should have access to guns, including people with nonviolent felonies on their records. However, everybody should be required to proper gun training and required to prove proper and safe storage of said firearms at all times. Like, not saying that they can just come in an inspection and start busting you for other things. So that's why we got to start decriminalizing all the other stupid things, because then it's like, okay, don't like encourage it and allow it, but at the same time, like, don't ruin someone's life over making sure their gun is properly stored, like, because their mental status is not, I mean, if it's a red flag, sorry, I'll backpedal. That really pissed me off the other day on Twitter. Some guy said that, or some person, I don't even know, like I wasn't paying attention, but they said, oh, you backpedaled pretty quick there. And it's like, no. And I even said in the original one, and it was about that government spending. And I said, I love this idea, but let's target the real people that are getting, like, and then someone's like, oh, well, only certain rich people need to pay their share. And I was like, no. Let's target the people that aren't paying their fair share. And then let's also audit the government spending. But if it's really helping, and if it's like doing, saving us from, I don't know, all these wildfires, like we just had the sky blocked out again, and like biblical proportions. And I'm sorry, let's kind of throw down that caveat a little bit. Like a lot of times the argument is very closely tied to, oh, like, sorry. The types of discussions and situations that I've had tend to lean towards a sense of biblical nature, where they'll put all their eggs in that basket, which means they also got to take the bad with the good, kinda, but not really, because then it's like cherry picking. I don't know. Sorry. The whole point of that is like, you want to talk about end times. We're literally killing the earth, and we can prove how scientifically and like at what rate and what the causes are and what we can do to prevent them. And there'll still be people like, oh, but the rapture. And it's like, what? Did you not just hear anything that was just said? Like, And that's the other thing too, is like even people that, they just have public education and that's it, which is fine too, because like there are other opportunities to learn. It just depends on how much effort you put into it. Like how much time do you take working on you? And see, that's the other sad reality is like a lot of times with other careers, you work so hard that you don't have a lot of time, and your downtime is actually spent recovering. And I know that because I had to go, or well, I didn't have to. That was the job that I found after college. Was like I couldn't find a tech job, so I went and built wind turbines and ended up having a great time doing it. And so, but right there, in between that and building houses in high school for a brief moment, summer, and working all the time, trying to save up for college that like my family couldn't afford. There you go. See, I was poor enough to warrant the Pell Grant. Therefore, I can sympathize with people trying to save up for college and how risky it is to try to go to college. See, and if we made it less risky to everybody, then everybody would go. It's not that they don't want to. It's like some of them literally can't. Most people literally can't. And then even me, I felt like, I mean, I was told I had to save up for college like the whole time. But even having a lot of money and going to college and ended up like, it goes quick. So it's like, I don't know, it's like now up to like over $12,000 a year. So you're like at like 40K, and that's like, God forbid, or sorry, like don't even like think about having a 5-year degree. Whew, imagine paying 10 years. Sorry. So there you go. Like, and I did a lot of community college, like a ton. And there was a thing, I don't even know if it's, see, I'd have to check because I heard it was signed into law that like the first 2 years of community college were free now. But I'd want to check, and I want to make sure it was for any particular state because that could change. And even at the drop of a hat, that could change. Like such programs and such regulations, like student loan forgiveness. Okay, yeah, that actually does take business from people. But then, shame on them for running a business in such a way, like with such interest rates all like willy-nilly, like, oh, but we need to make this much money out of this. Like, okay, well, that's the other thing too, loaning money. All right, let's see. We're pretty deep into this. So, like, if I don't make a short of this, then the likelihood of someone actually seeing this very small, at least for now. And by the time like, if it does come out, like on like Colbert or some like late night show or something, which, and honestly, I wouldn't know until one of my family said it. Because I'm sorry, nothing against his. Like, I don't take the time to set up. Because I used to have an antenna, and I don't have the time to set up one of those, or do I want to? Because I don't enjoy watching TV like the way that I grew up watching it with commercials. Like I'd rather watch ads on YouTube but then it's not like the quality thing, so then you got to pay for the streaming and like, or you don't pay, and then it's a sliding scale of what you're comfortable and what you're willing to accept. And see, that's the other thing too, is like, it's perfectly fine to understand that's a generational thing, is like, yeah, it's, the amount of time, like the ratio of time. See, there we go. Statistics. I did that in high school, because I wanted to do as many classes as I could for cheap, and I knew CMC was not exactly easy, but it was easier because, well, I mean, like we would know the professors. Like I personally knew my English comp professor. So yeah, or at least my parents did. So like they all kind of like, we had an introduction without even me having to have an introduction is an easier way to say it. Because like most everybody also worked at the prison too. So it was like you had a community within a community that was already a small community. And then you had church communities within those communities. Like it's like communityception up there. Yeah, it's Buena Vista. There you go. I'll just give it out there. But go BB Demons. And anyone listening to the last one, and again, this is 37 minutes in, so the people that are actually watching this, so they can have a little chuckle to yourselves now. So, anyways, it's the same as like people that go to lectures too, and you'd know that if you could afford college. But basically, they'll have little Easter eggs in their classes, like little jokes and little smirks and stuff, and like, and the people that knew because they took the time and the effort to make it to every class. And again, even as I say that, we got to cut some students some slack, or at least give them second chances. And that's the whole point of conflict resolution with universities. Yeah, which I also know, is without second chances, you're really, well, one, you're throwing away all the money they spent on the education. There's that, and then all the fallout of, oh wait, oh that's emeralds. I thought I was still walking around with diamonds, but it is the leftovers from that. Anyways, yeah, I say that because like They might be working while they're in college. Oh, shocker. Most people do work. And then if they're working, they're also trying to socialize and party and get their whole college experience. Oh, but wait, if they're working, they're partying, then they're not sleeping. Well, guess what else they're not doing? They're not going to class. So, and it's not, and then uh, it's the harsh reality that a lot of freshmen face and a lot of freshmen wash out. And I like to think, or actually, you know what? I feel like that's a revelation that I just had. When I was going to computer science classes, the freshman sophomore classes were commonly known as weed out classes because the people that weren't, quote unquote, serious about their degree, they would wash out with bad grades and they couldn't afford to keep going. Or maybe they were able to make a better educated decision on, oh, well, that didn't work so well. And now I got to pay for 5 years of college at $12,000 a year. So now I'm up $60,000. Wait. Now, see, I even had to check that math in my head. 48,000 for 4 years, right? 12. So we're looking at, the price of a good sized car or a college education or a down payment to a house or, and all these things. So you're sacrificing all of these other things to do the college thing. And then you got to live like a, like a refugee some places. Like, yeah, I lived on a couch for a while. Like, yeah, it was, oh, although that wasn't for a lack of that was an extenuating circumstance. So, anyways, no, and I had parents that supported me, paid for all of that stuff. But well, parent, but still technically parents too. So, death benefits. Anyways, ooh, that got dark real quick. Uh, college though, attendance. And so if they're not making it to class, maybe there's some extenuating circumstances. Maybe there's some past situations or behaviors or something. And that's why it's important to address all this stuff at all stages of one's existence, one's life. It's never too late to learn good manners, like, something like that, however you want to say it. And remember, people had to be cheesy like that because that is how you did things. And that's how you still market things today, like just do it, or like, oh gosh, that might get copyrighted for. Sorry, we talk about that at pretty much every job I've had. There's like some kind of marketing thing where it's like, okay, why is this particular? Sorry, okay, we could edit that out and censor it. Maybe I will, like when I start editing videos. But oh yeah, because yeah, I'll do that and then edit the thing, and then there you go. See, anyways, no, the chances are I'll probably forget to do it, and then it'll take me a while. But anyways, the risk of exposure through all that is nonchalant. Yeah, seriously, what I forgot. Well, anyways, back to college. So the cost of a car, 50,000, like, and that's if you only get it in 4 years. If you get it in five, you're looking at 60, right? So right there, you're definitely looking at a good down payment for a house, and even a few years of paying for a house. And like, especially with wages going up now, there's like really no incentive to put that much of a gamble up. So you're kind of getting even more of a wealth disparity that way. Ugh. Yeah, see, it just keeps getting worse. And again, I took economics a couple of times, both micro and macro. And that was a common thread with mine. Like I was partying hard and I had to return to school. Like that's why I graduated so old and late. Like, but I also stopped partying too. I took it seriously my second go around and I was just like, all right, I'm spending money. And it didn't even matter. Like I was spending my own money, but I also made that money. So I justify it like, oh, well, I'm here for the college experience. I was told there would be like that old South Park saying, I will advertise for South Park all day. They're like my favorite show. But anyways, they had saying, or that one episode, like I was told there'd be punch and pie. Like, or no, that was the movie. Yeah. So, and it's just funny because like, people will do things because of incentives and people use incentives because they know people will do things. That's marketing, basics 101. And yeah. And that's why it's so important that people have a well-rounded education that's affordable and attainable. And, and even watching these musings, like if you get nothing, or if you don't have any opportunity to higher education, because that's the thing is like, it's not that you're not going to do it. If you had the chance, if you had a scholarship or if you had a grant, and we do that all the time, and then nobody realizes that, it's like, oh, wait, we donate thousands and thousands of dollars to education, thousands, and rightfully so. And like, and if I ever, get to, or when I get to a point, see, that's the other thing is like, I know if I work hard and I continue to work hard, I will get there. And I am. So like I'm getting there. It's just going to take time. But just keep swimming. All these little catchy little marketing things. That's okay. I buy Disney Plus, so no, that doesn't justify it. You could do copyright. And that's what kind of confuses me about a lot of the scratch stuff. Mm. Sorry, let's talk about that because I'm going to do some scratch shorts, and that's going to come up, and that's going to be a little awkward to people that don't watch these musings. They'll be like, "Whoa, I have no context or backstory, so this just seems really ridiculous." But I've been making the cringe chronicles, and it's just the awkward moments of my life, and it's already brutal and it's embarrassing, but that's fine because like it was live and learn. And all right, so actually I'll give a little spoilers. The first one is about this one time, not at band camp, but this one time at Salida High School. Like, and this was when I was really young, mind you. I was there because something going on. Like my mom was practicing in like the orchestra or some musical thing or theater. I don't even know. Or it could have been my sister. But either way, I was there. It was not during school hours, and I was young enough to not realize that, well, A, germs are bad, so, you know, you shouldn't drink other people's spit. And yes, I have gotten tested. I don't have any diseases or anything. Like, but yeah, so I made a cocktail out of all these leftovers in sodas because I was like, oh, they're finished with them. They'll leave a little bit like the brewer's inch in there. And then again, if you don't go to college and don't, you know, develop a pretty hefty drinking habit from being a freshman in college or sophomore, and again, that's not everybody, and that is a good thing that's not everybody. But at the same time, don't be surprised if it is. Like, it's kind of like, I don't know. It's just, that also seemed weird to me as like, you know, oh, a kid got drunk in college and did something stupid. Well, yeah, they're living on their own. They're figuring things out. Like they've flown from the nest. You've kicked them out of the nest, and they've. Oh, and by the way, they also can't get the responsibility from a job because they're too busy getting the responsibility from learning. And so there's that trade-off. And that's where like people can see the disparity in effort. Like, oh, well, if you didn't go to college, you're lazy. Or, oh, if you went to college, you're lazy. Both are not true, and both are true. I'm just kidding. It depends on if you're actually lazy. So most people aren't. And that's why like even when we saw the mechanic in Minecraft where there is someone that doesn't have a profession, like legitimately you could say the mechanic is if you put down a job block, they don't get a job. Like it's as black and white as that. So that's a very rare situation that happens in this video game. And honestly, I like it that way because same with like killing llamas and killing wandering traders. Like I mean, I'm not like having fun doing it, but at the same time, I can't. You can't knock somebody for being entertained by that because we had the Coliseum. It's the easiest way to point that out. Like we used to watch people kill each other, and and the other thing is we do watch people kill each other now in real life with like guns and stuff, and it sickens us. Just like World War II and the World Wars, I remember hearing about that as like, you know, someone giving their thoughts on like World War II stories. And actually the resulting books and literature that were written as a result of the world wars, it was very glim, very dark, like, you know, the like Lemony Snicket's, like there was that whole like genre of like gloomy, like, oh, woe's me. And now I don't know if that was actually like a case of it, but that's a good example of like the genre. Like I want to say specifically, so now this is where I might misspeak and this might be offensive, is like I know Tolkien had some military background, and I don't honestly know if he died in the military or not because I don't remember at what time he was writing the stories. And the only frame of reference I have in lieu of understanding what actually happened or learning what actually happened or remembering what actually happened, um, I can just trust that I know that and I can find out more. Sorry, I had a better sentiment to that. Oh, the scalable way of thinking about even that problem solving with how you try to piece things together is just give about a vague, but not close enough. It still has to be sincere. I don't know. It's tricky, and then there's that timeout, and then you just kind of give up on it and try again or shift gears. So, which is good because I completely forgot everything we are talking about. Oh yeah, the graphic, vile nature of real life TV versus video games, and that's the other thing too. Is like video games are kind of getting like okay. So I will say I do love playing Bloodborne, but that's killing monsters. Like even the zombie like people, it's creepy because it's like you're killing people from England, but not quite. Like they don't speak, they speak like they're kind of like slow, like their brains deteriorating, but also like they could also sound like they're drunk. And so, and right there, it's kind of creepy because, ooh, so would I feel less jaded about killing a drunk person? Probably not for that reason. I mean, if you think about it, and this speaking, knowing gun owners and how they talk about home defense and everything, it's like, and I used to be one too, but like, uh, anyway, sorry, not the point. It's the thought of defending yourself, and especially if someone's drunk, then, and especially if they have like a history of domestic abuse or something, like if they've witnessed something of that, and also there is a desperate, no, sorry, how do you say that? There is a unproportionate ratio of people that have similar traits, like poorer or lower income families have more domestic violence per capita. Like I know that was at least a thing, and not just domestic violence. It's like, all bad things. Like if your life's not going bad, you tend to kind of lash out, and that is a psychological thing. It's projection, and I learned that psychology 4 freaking times. I took the class 4 times because that's how hard I had to learn, or how stubborn I was. Not stubborn to ditch class. It was stubborn to keep partying and thinking that I was fitting in socially, when really, and thinking that I was actually like living the best life that I could at the time. I was like, well, as long as I go to class when I can, and like when I like physically can, because being hungover is ridiculous. Like you die almost, and sometimes you do. You can die and be brought back to life. Like you have to like restart your heart. It's ridiculous to think about, but yeah, alcohol poisoning, like throwing up blood, all of the negatives that people don't really think of because they don't see it. They see the liquor ads, they see the naked chicks, and oh, let's talk about that real quick. So, that's how it used to be. Alcohol and tobacco really were sold by basically sex. Now, and that's where marketing was playing on human emotions, manipulating human behavior and psychology to sell a product. And even as I say that, like I mean, it worked. I liked looking at it, but that's fine to say. Like, but at the same time, it's also even better to understand that that's not cool, and it can make women feel like objects, and that's what it is too. Like and as soon as the Magic Mike movie came out, all sorts of guys, myself included, felt all sorts of awkward. We're like, no, no, wait a minute, wait, it can't go the other way. And actually, I have a personal story about that. Like it was like, well, maybe we'll say it on another video. How are we doing on time? Even less people are likely to be at the 50-minute mark, but someone's out there. So I always got to take into account there is a chance that like I could end up with a ton of followers, and like I'm just not trying to do like that cringe stuff. But anyways, we'll see. And it's not always cringe. Sorry, I should say that like just because you're famous on YouTube does not mean you did all cringe. However, I know that I've seen a lot of evidence of people that show signs of having regretted certain videos. And don't worry, YouTube is trying to make like the compromise of, okay, wait. So what's like an okay amount of cringe versus an okay amount of like political stunt, not political stunts, publicity stunts. Yeah, see, I haven't heard that in a while, but yeah, we used to say that about people that were on TV, movie stars, actors, like, and they would do publicity stunts. They would even and then we'd have the paparazzi. Like, I don't know. See, that doesn't even really happen anymore because people they have better things to do with their lives. They're like, oh wait, what happened? Okay, or at least that's how I see it. I mean, there are still some people that are like, actually, wait, no, I say that, but I don't think I've actually heard any, like, unless it's someone dying, and then it's only like out of respect, like, oh, that's sad, and that's a reminder of our own mortality. But aside from that, I don't know, and that's kind of the twisted truth about death too. Is like it is interesting. I mean, just in that like, ugh. And then you get into like, oh, it could go all the way to like emo and depression. And see, that's the other thing too, is like emo. I remember that. Oh, sorry. Like, I'm still gonna use my South Park as a frame of reference. It's something I grew up watching, but I also learned that you gotta take it with a grain of salt, and you gotta know when you're around a proper audience and having an audience of like potentially anyone in the world. I should make that disclaimer. And sorry, I don't mean to laugh at these things. I did notice that I laughed in the other one. I started watching it for a bit, and I laughed at like some time that was pretty inconsiderate, and like that's not my intention. It's just like I don't know. And see, even that, like seeing it, noticing it, pointing it out. Oh wow, we're already at another 55. All right. So, anyways, let's really drive that point home. As much as you judge others, you need to judge yourself. And if you've seen the movie Bullet Train, they're all advertise it on the Netflix. Brad Pitt says something. Every finger you're pointing at me, there's four pointing back at you. And then he looks at it, and that hit home because I was like, I've had that situation where I said that and I thought I was all clever. And we've been over this on a previous video, but I just like pointing that out. I was like, because then I heard that and I was like, oh, just like, oh, the new Ariel. Sorry. There you go. I just made it completely relevant of how I can feel someone that doesn't look white watching Disney movies. And I mean that with everything, because even they always say, oh, there's a Disney princess for everyone. Like, okay, even if there's one really well done and they just love it, knocked it out of the park, there's still just one to your like 20. So it's that ratio thing. Same with like people with age with tech. They have a higher ratio of time without tech where it was important to learn how to survive and thrive without tech. See, there we go. I will be on that soapbox all day because, in fact, I'll make that a short is because and that's why I love what I do. I love doing IT and I love helping people, especially people that struggle with tech because yeah, we all do depending on the situation. So the only difference is like some people and see that's the thing is I'm at an advantage because my job is to learn tech. Like I have to go to school my whole life and I love that. And there's a lot of free stuff out there to learn from. User manuals and stuff, like really boring stuff, but at the same time, yeah, maybe user manuals. Like, I don't know. Like, people are getting better at, like, even converting those into videos. So that's why I'm also kind of training and doing this stuff is because I'm going to be trying to make shorter videos for the actual content. Like, and I say that, and it's been a year since I did a GED video. It's been even longer since I've done a coding video. No, just kidding. Actually, I think I did a coding video more recently. But anyways, and then there's Linux too. Like, there's a very broad definition of what I've tried to cover. And honestly, the other ones aren't that bad. I just need to get into video editing, and I just did the software like, excuse me, the other day. So, and at the end of the day, like I like to play my. Oh, and actually, phew, that's already 2 hours. Never mind. I gotta go do dishes and stuff. All right. Well, everybody have a good night. I'm actually gonna just end that there. Enjoy, and I will shut this down. And yeah, be kind. Okay, sorry. I will make one last plug. Sniper Wolf, like with like three S's. She's awesome. So go check her out. I'm gonna need to start tagging people, but then I feel awkward tagging people because like who am I? I'm just like the 150. Anyways, whatever. And that's the thing. If you get into the Twitch community, there is like a whole community about it. So YouTube community, Sniper Wolf. She ends a lot of her videos with like. Actually, I think she says like "I love you," but she also says like "be kind." So there you go. A little bit of like cheesy marketing, but also genuine like good message to drive home and remind people. And if anybody's gonna do it, it's someone that gets. And see, that's the other thing. Like as cringe as things can be, there's still a purpose for them, and so it's not cringe. Therefore, the cringe negates the cringe depending on what the content creator does with said cringe. Also, you can't go too cringe. Sorry, there is a level of too cringe, and I think I'm approaching it saying cringe 50 times. Especially for how old I am. All right, so anyways, Sniper Wolf says be kind, so yeah, but copying off of her, remixing, whatever you want to say, but just taking the idea and seriously, pay it forward, however you want to think about it, but take the time to do better, be best, whatever. Oh, God, see, everyone's saying it. It's all the same. I was like, do unto others. There you go. And I know there's one for the Islam too. Like, and there's one in the Judean faith. There is a saying, and I forget what it is. Oh, if you know it, comment below. See, there's another tactic to get followers and likes. But comment below what it is. It's like takva or something. And I know I'm butchering that, but and actually I only read it. I don't know how to pronounce it. So, but I learned that with my current job, and it was awesome. And it means a community mindset, thinking of others, the oxygen mask, like still take care of yourself and then help others. And same with Maslow's hierarchy of needs. All right, that's me. 30 seconds. I'm out. Have a good day. And for real, this is the last one. All right, bye.